Hello, everybody. Thank you for returning to our YouTube channel. I'm Brian with Technology United for Ukraine. And as you know, we're an all-volunteer group. We seek no patents, no profits, that develops innovative technologies for the Ukrainian armed forces. So if you would like to join us, if you're an engineer, scientist, technologist, or anybody who wants to help out Ukraine, there is a link in the description. Go right over there and sign up. And even if you want to help us out with social media or fundraising, go over there and sign up and let me know, and we'll get in touch with you and get you on track to help out. And remember, we are officially recognized by the Ukrainian Armed Forces. We're officially partnered with them through the Birds of Fury. All right, so let's get right into what is going on. I am here in the Kursk area right now. This is where this map is. This is the Kursk area. And there has been a new offensive by the Ukrainians into this direction here. They've gone in about 5 kilometers. The Russians did counterattack pretty heavily and sustained massive losses. There's a ton of videos out there on X and on Reddit. I'd like to show them, but you know the policies. I can't. They took out quite a few armored columns counterattacking the Ukrainians. How far this will go, I don't know. It's anybody's guess. But if they can get a foothold, we know they're probably going to continue out this area here and maybe close this off. Just depends on how far they get. Maybe they can only make it this far, but it just depends on how many resources the Russians are going to pull out of Ukraine itself to defend this area inside of Russia and where they have other troops that they can move around. It's going to, again, put pressure on their logistics and their manpower issues they already have. So let's keep an eye on this. Let's see how far it goes and how effective it'll be. So let's get into the losses that the Russians sustained. So as of the February 7th, 2025, the Russians have lost. These are soldiers, Russian soldiers that have expired on the battlefield. And again, these are not my numbers. This is from the Armed Forces of Ukraine. 846,650 were lost. And then there was 1,340 added to that, to both the wounded and those who expired on the battlefield. This number of wounded is right here. And this number is found by basically, if I blow this up here, multiplying 3 times the number of those that expired on the battlefield comes up with the 2,539,950. So they are 2 separate numbers. A lot of people think this right here is the number of wounded and lost, those who expired, but they are 2 separate numbers. So you get this one by multiplying this number by 3. Do it and you'll see. And again, not my number. I'm just reporting it. All right, so now we go down to armored combat vehicles, which is 20,755 with 18 being added. Tanks, 9,975 with 10 being added. Artillery, 22,785 with 32 being added. Again, artillery is ticking up again. We're seeing this movement up with the losses artillery. So the Ukrainians are really hitting artillery hard. Let's go back to yesterday. And we see there was 46 artillery pieces that were lost. 52 the day before that. 66. 51. I mean, the numbers are just huge. 45, 48. And the amount of casualties, too, you'll see are significantly high. Now, there's one other number I like to look at. So this, again, comes from the Ukrainian government. This is not me. I don't come up with these numbers. So I like to look at this. This is fuel trucks and vehicles. So why I think this is interesting is the Ukrainians are really pressuring the oil and fuel depots, refineries, frontline fueling points. They're hitting their fuel trucks too. So this includes fuel trucks. And this number has gone up radically over the past couple months. So I do believe they're hitting the fuel trucks very heavily, and they're going to just crush the logistics. So we should see an heavy impact within the next couple months with the front line. So this is going to have an interesting impact on the Russian front lines in the coming next months. That's what I predict, but let's see what happens. Let's look at what's happening in Pokrovsk. As you know, I always come here Prokhorovsk is right here. As we've seen, these are the areas, logistic areas. They're trying to hit their supply routes into the air. These are the big supply routes here. There are some smaller roads that come in, but this is the main road. So they're going to want to cut these off and then likely work their way out this way, get up here and work their way out here and keep going this way here. So they're trying to really expand the area that they're focusing on taking. They're really trying to now reach further out. We know because they may have negotiations coming up and they're just pressing extraordinarily hard. Very hard. Now, if we look back, I want you to pay attention to this area and this area. Here, they're really done a good job now of stopping the Russians. That was moving forward quite aggressively. All right, as we go backwards, we're seeing that the Russians have really halted their movement over the past week. If we go forward again, if you watch them moving out, then all of a sudden I'm going to be clicking. It's just not going to move a tremendous amount. See that? I'm going. So for about a week, they've been really static on this front line. Probably they're bringing in some really heavy-duty equipment to hit the Russians as they try to make their way forward to these supply routes. And it's having a dramatic impact on them. So this remains to be seen when they'll be able to take Prokhorovsk. The city itself is now pretty much decimated. The Russians have just saturated with artillery and gliding bombs and everything. If we go out a little bit here, we can look at how far. So the Russians, since the start of the war, were here. Right about here. I'll blow this up a little bit more. So they started, let's say, right about here. We'll give them right there. And now they're out to here. This is the furthest point. They've only made it 50 kilometers. And the losses, again, were absolutely astronomical. They've been absolutely horrendous. Tens of thousands of vehicles, hundreds, probably near 100,000 troops in this area. I mean, this has just been where the Russians have thrown everything in the kitchen sink over the past year. So where this goes, I don't know, but it has been slowed down. Whether or not they can make it out to this area anytime soon remains to be seen. All right, everybody, thank you again for returning to our channel. Remember, if you'd like to be a part of us, link is in the description. Slava Ukraini.